Alright. What's good, y'all? Soul here, and welcome back to my story mode. So, because it's still fresh in everyone's mind, I wanted to talk a little bit more about Shadow Generations. Very specifically Shadow Generations, because this game was absolutely our first glimpse into what Sonic Frontiers 2 could look like, or whatever the title ends up being. I have no doubt in my mind that Frontiers 2 is just the placeholder title that's gonna be here for the next couple of years. That's just how it is. We already know that Sonic Team has a bigger budget and a bigger team to work specifically on the next massive project. However, they definitely did set aside a couple of members and budget and things like that so that they could have some of them work on this project, which was this re-release or remaster of Sonic Generations, as well as working on the new project, which was Shadow Generations. This of course only played into their benefit because this game was already pretty damn successful for a 3D Sonic game. 1 million in basically 3 days, like, that is unheard of for a Sonic game. It sold really well, and that is nothing short of a good thing, and that could only mean great things going forward for the rest of this franchise. I'm sure you, I, and every other Sonic fan on this planet had the exact same idea after we set this game down. This game showed us what the future could look like. It was so high quality, so much fun, and just so well written that it was almost impossible to believe that this game was made by the same people that made something like Forces. The team locked in incredibly hard, and I can't thank them enough for such an amazing experience with Shadow Generations. I'm going to be playing this time and time again. It is easily going to become one of my most played Sonic games by and far. I have absolutely no doubt about that. But now, I want to talk a little bit about the individual aspects that I would love to see going forward with the future of the game, specifically, in this case, for Sonic Frontiers 2. Or again, whatever that ends up being called. Firstly, I want to give attention to the fact that they really upped their game when it comes to high quality cutscenes, graphics, and just general overall look. This game was so high quality, it was the pure definition of cinematic. It was incredibly pretty. In my review for this game, I mentioned the fact that just Shadow alone, his animations all look absolutely stellar. You could see every little emotion on his face, every reaction to everything that happens. His quills move with every single movement as if they were like moving in real time. It was absolutely ridiculous how good these models, these characters, and these cutscenes look. Even when they're moving quick, everything looks absolutely stellar. And that's not even mentioning the fact that all of the cutscenes are just so well woven together. Everybody moves in perfect synchronization. It looks very high quality, the way everybody's animated. Maria, Gerald, the bosses even. Everybody just looks and feels so good. It's delicious. And that's one of those things where I just can't help but imagine what the cutscenes are gonna look like in Frontiers 2 if they were able to look this good in this little package. I don't know what kind of boss fights and whatever we're gonna be getting into in the next game, but I'm telling you right now, if they look even half as good as the boss battles that we had in this game, we are in for an absolute movie, bro. Complete cinema. It's going to look absolutely magnificent, and I know for a fact they already locked in with the Titan fights in Frontiers 1, and just giving them the power that they had here and implementing that into the ideas and scope that they had for Frontiers 1, it's just gonna look so beautiful. I cannot wait to see what overworlds look like and everything like that. It's gonna look so pretty, because that's the thing too. All of the levels looked absolutely stellar. It was just so high quality. Almost anything could be a screenshot and a wallpaper like that, and that's how you know you have designed a really pretty game. When you could screenshot literally anything, and it could be your thumbnail, it could be your wallpaper, for your phone, for your computer, it could work out for literally anything. They made art. This is art. Truly, it is impressive how good this game looks. And hell, they made Maria and Gerald look so good that I am 100% on par with the idea of bringing humans back to the franchise in whatever way they want to. As long as they look and move as well as they did, I feel like we could see something really beautiful, man. Because for humans, which we haven't seen in, oh my god, we haven't seen in well over a decade, I don't believe now. They looked incredible. So if we want to have some cities and things like that with some human NPCs, I'm 100% for it. However, I'm also okay with the idea of us just being on Mobius and actually interacting with, you know, Mobian NPCs and stuff like that. I also think a lot about the action scene between Sonic and Shadow when they had their rival fight in Shadow's version of the story. The way they were racing, the way they were moving, that action looked absolutely incredible. I've watched that cutscene at least 30 times now. It's just so pretty and I can never look away. And if any of the action scenes or anything like that look that good in Frontiers 2, oh my goodness, I can't wait to see something like that. I want to see more action in that quality. I want to see them do more stuff like that, parkouring off of walls and things like that. We don't always have to be in control, man. You can always go out of your way to make it a movie if you really want to. Give us something good to eat, man. Y'all can lock in and do that. I'm 100% with that, because that cutscene, beautiful, beautiful. This whole game looked absolutely just gorgeous. However, the looks weren't the only thing that was gorgeous about this game. The writing, Chef Flynn was absolutely incredible. Of course, Chef Flynn isn't the only one responsible for the story, but he was the one that was definitely making all the outlines and things like that to make sure that, you know, the characters were properly utilized and they were, you know, them. Okay, he wrote them properly because he knows these characters. I'll say it as many times as I need to, but they did a phenomenal job, not only in Frontiers, but especially in Shadow Generations. The way Shadow was written in of himself was stellar. Okay, and like I said in my review, this was a story of acceptance of, you know, him learning to come to terms with everything that's a part of him and learning to let go, but also to understand what he is and that he isn't truly alone, no matter how much he believes that he is sometimes. Should I put a spoiler warning? I think it's been a good minute now. I'm sure everybody's finished it by now, but whatever, I'll put a spoiler warning anyway. But having a story that delves into such heavy history with Shadow proves that this series can have some of the most beautiful storytelling ever told if they just take the time to take these characters and their histories and their pasts and their stories just seriously. Just take the stories seriously and we can be fine. Yes, I am totally okay with characters that crack jokes and things like that. That's a huge part of Sonic's character. You know, they did a phenomenal job here where Sonic was still cocky. You know, he's just like, sorry, you know, I know you got things to do, maybe, I don't care, I got things to do, I'm trying to save the universe, the multiverse, maybe, give me your Chaos Emerald. He whoops Shadow and he's just like, ha, well, sorry bud, I won this one, goodbye. It's interesting, right, because I think that was a very good way to show what Sonic looks like to Shadow. Like this kind of, that shot of him holding the Chaos Emerald, it was almost like he was just this, not looming, I don't want to say threat, you know, but definitely like a damn, like, he's dangerous, like, you know, like Sonic is not one to be trifled with. And I love that Shadow respected him enough to not use his power just because it felt like cheating. Right? And that's that kind of thing that I appreciate so much, because they properly paid attention to Shadow's character, to Sonic's character, and even like utilizing Shadow's, you know, point of view to see what it looks like for him in that moment. And even Rouge in this case, you know, she was still properly written, even though she wasn't like a major critical point in the story. She definitely, you know, played her role, you know, decently well, I would say. I do wish there was more Omega, but, you know, you can only do so much with the time allotted, you know? Regardless, though, I'm more than down to have a Sonic that cracks his jokes and things like that, and, you know, thinks he's funny and all that, which, you know, a lot of the time he can be. But I also love the side of Sonic, not only Sonic, but, you know, Sonic characters in general, that can be genuine, that can put aside the jokes and things like that to talk about things that are a little more heavy for them. I appreciated that a lot in Frontiers, and I appreciated it hella in Shadow Generations. Being able to actually partake in Shadow's story here, seeing him instantly want to save Maria and Gerald the moment he figured out that they were actually there, and then realizing like there's really nothing I could do, but him having that moment of a break where he was just like, no, let me stop Rouge, I can get them back. But he knew in his heart he could not save them. He knew that. But he wanted to have that one moment where he was just like, maybe it's possible. And that is so good. That is such good writing to make me feel that much in pain for him to not be able to save them. It is critical that we have more genuine character moments like this in whatever we get next, and I could definitely see them locking in for something like that with Frontiers 2. I don't know if they're going to do it with Sonic. We don't even know what characters are going to be, you know, taking part in this story, because you can never tell. you really can never tell, but Hey man, I'm just saying, if we want to lock in and give Silver one more chance to hit the big time, I think Frontiers 2 would be it. We're going to talk a lot about that. We will be delving into that a lot. Getting more into the gameplay aspect, before we get into like the obvious major stuff, I want to talk about the fact that they locked in with the overworld. Now, of course, again, we would not have what we had with Shadow Generations if we didn't get Sonic Frontiers. Sonic Frontiers introduced us to the idea of these big open zone overworlds where there's a ton of challenges to do, lots of places to run around. It's big, open, massive, wide, and there's a lot of things to do, whether it be challenges, races, puzzles, and so on and so forth. In the case of Shadow Generations, they cleaned it up a little bit, in which they made this smaller package a lot more manageable, in which there was still a lot of challenges and a lot of things to do, but it was just tinier, more compact, and a lot more properly fleshed out because it was only in one zone as opposed to like 4 or 5 like we had in Frontier. I guess 4, I think saying 5 is a bit of an overstatement, but you get what I'm getting at. Shadow Frontiers has a more concise vision of what overworlds can look like in the future. Obtaining certain abilities so that you can reach certain bosses and things like that, having it so that there's a lot of collectibles around the overworld so that you can get extras and all of these awesome bonuses and things to look at in a specific area, gaining more abilities as you progress to just more comfortably progress through the world like it's a Pokemon game or something like that. I think that they did a phenomenal and fantastic job with this version of the overworld that, again, we would not have seen without Frontiers, but they definitely have a better vision of how to do this, how to design it going forward. And that is proven very well in Shadow Generation, I believe. And then lastly, of course, we have to talk about the actual level design. And that is one of the most immaculate things that they managed to do in this game, because, oh my goodness, these are, like I said, and like a lot of people will definitely agree with me on, these are the best level designs in Sonic history, almost like hands down. It is easily some of the best, at least with the boost formula and the, general modern 3D Sonic levels in mind. These levels not only look beautiful, not only do they have amazing, awesome set pieces a good portion of the time, not only do they have something as foreign as quick time events in the middle of them, which was awesome and completely badass, but the fact that these levels are so in-depth and have so many different ways to complete them, whether it's, they have a million different paths to traverse, and you can do that the normal way, but also after you finish the game, when you get your Doom Wings, you can finish different levels that way. And it is so immaculate how many different ways you can finish these levels that people are still like speed running these levels like crazy, finding new optimal paths, whether it be with the Doom Wings or without the Doom Wings, to complete these levels in fun and unique and quicker ways. And it is astounding that we have something like that, and that is definitely something I know for a fact that they're going to lock in on Frontiers 2. Now, don't get me wrong, the cyberspace levels, they were okay, they definitely were not my favorite part of the game, though. As far as the cyberspace levels go, they were okay. They definitely did take heavy and obvious inspiration from previous Sonic games, and the whole idea that they play into Sonic's memory probably should have played more into the actual story as opposed to just utilizing that as an excuse to, make these similar level layouts. But fine, at least in the Frontiers DLC, we got a lot of new content. We got completely new and original levels, and I can mess with that very heavily. However, I definitely can see a situation now in which we start getting actual levels. We're not going back to cyberspace. We're going to be going through actual, genuine, new levels by the time we get to the next game. Again, most likely Frontiers 2. And I have a good feeling, I have it on good authority to believe that they're going to look very similar to what we got in Shadow Generations. If we're going to have those abilities and things like that, I don't know. Sonic's a lot more organic than Shadow is, so we'll have to see what's going on with all that. However, just the idea that we can have these awesome set pieces, like random areas where Sonic uses a power or something and he hits these super hardcore parkour moments within the level, and then you go right back into playing like you never take your hand off the controller, or having these awesome set pieces or quick time events that make the level just feel more fleshed out, and then on top of the fact that there's just going to be so many different ways to complete these levels that we want to go back to them over and over and over again, is genuinely one of the most exciting things ever. Because again, cyberspace was cool, but we could definitely do a little bit more. You feel me? Even in the boss designs, they implemented different ways to utilize your powers and get around all of the obstacles that they place in front of you, and it's so much fun to engage with all of these bosses, and it's so cool that Shadow actually interacts with them. Now that I think back on the Titan fights, it's weird that Sonic, of all people, was completely silent during those fights. I know bro was locked in a little bit, I totally understand that, but if there's anybody that should be talking smack to the people that they're fighting, it would be Sonic. And Shadow was doing that a lot more, talking all that nonsense to Neo Metal, to Mephiles, to Doom, you know? It was absolutely crazy. Maybe not every boss battle in the next game needs to be the scale of the Titans, because don't get me wrong, the Titans are some of the coolest things that we have ever had in a Sonic game, by and far. I think that the scale and scope that they had for that game was generally just immaculate. But to actually implement ideas like that with the scaling and with the quality that we got with the boss fights from Shadow Generations makes the idea of boss fights like those just... oh my god, we would eat up those boss fights like that for a year. Are you kidding me? Oh my goodness, they have an opportunity to really lock in with those boss fights, and I can't wait to see what they pull. And then lastly actually this time, one thing I forgot to mention is the idea that we will have like an actual world to interact with in the next game. Now, we did get something of a leak like sometime last year, or maybe very early this year, sometime like that, and they were saying that this, you know, again, take everything with a grain of salt, of course, but they were saying that there is a possibility that this next game is going to take place on one consecutive island. It's going to be in one area, just one massive area, and that is very interesting. But I think that for the sake of sanity and for design's sake, I feel like that's a lot smarter. I feel like that works a lot better than what we had in Frontiers, where it was just these big empty islands with just a bunch of clutter, right? I feel like it makes a lot more sense to have one dedicated island with very specific railways and pathways to get to certain areas, and I'm sure that there's gonna be like some unlockable paths once you get specific powers or abilities that allow you to get from one place to the next, and I feel like that's just generally a better way to handle it. However, there also is a possibility that on this massive island we're gonna see some towns, we're gonna see some cities, we're gonna see some actual NPCs, and after interacting and seeing all of the fun dialogue between Shadow and Omega, Rouge, Maria, Gerald, Big, I feel like that's gonna make things really, really fun, and I feel like that opens up a lot of new horizons, like the possibility of actual side quests and being able to, you know, complete quests. You're gonna be able to help people and do your thing and maybe actually get items out of it too that can help you on your journey or whatever. I feel like they have the opportunity to really do something like that now that they know how to utilize NPCs. Maybe we could see some actual towns again. We haven't seen anything like that in a long time, it feels like. So I would definitely love to see them do something like that again, because I would love to see something like Soliana, or what's the name of the town in Unleashed? It's been a little while, but I would love to see towns with actual NPCs to interact with again, and to be able to see that with the quality of the NPCs that we had in Shadow Generations makes it so exciting to even consider the possibility. So I really do hope that they lock in with that, because I feel like that would really take the series to some new heights. Other than that, though, I think that just about does it for that. Overall, I'm just really, really excited for the future, now that not only is this game a success, but it's actually extremely high quality. Easily the most high quality Sonic game we have ever had. But it's in such a short package that I'm literally just already hungry for more, but we don't know when that's gonna be, because knowing Sonic Team and knowing Sega, they're gonna make sure that they take their time with this next game more so than ever. They can't afford to pull what they pulled before. Hopefully they don't get overzealous, but I feel like they've definitely learned from their past mistakes, because without all of those mistakes, we would not be here right now with Shadow Generations. Something that answers to almost every problem we've ever had with the franchise and more. It does so well, and it does so good to answer all of the problems we've ever had, and definitely delivers on what it was trying to deliver on. I think it did a splendid job, and I want more just like it. I cannot wait to see what the next project is. It's so good to be a Sonic fan right now, brother. Oh, it's so good. But you know what? Hey, maybe that's just me. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and leave it at that, but before I go, I'm gonna pass the mic over to you guys, and I want you guys to tell me everything that you guys are thinking in the comment section below. Do you think that Shadow Generations is a glimpse into the future? Do you think that we're gonna see a lot of different things from this game implemented into the next title? Or do you think that Shadow Generations was just a fluke? It's never gonna happen like this again. We will never get quality this good again, and it was only like this because it was such a small package. Tell me everything that you guys are thinking in the comment section below, because you know for a fact that I'm always gonna be down there with you guys. But with that, it does appear to be skedaddle o'clock, so I'm gonna go ahead and do just that. I would like to thank you guys ever so much for watching. I truly do hope you enjoyed. Do me the greatest favor of dropping a like and a comment, and consider subscribing for more content just like this here. And with that, I'm gone. So thanks again, hope you enjoyed, and I'll be seeing you guys in the next video. Do me the greatest favor of taking good ass care, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!